During our practical exam, if we get the slide of bone for our discussion, we would feel very happy, right? But when the examiner starts asking questions, the only thing we can recall regarding the structure of bone is the Haversian system and almost nothing else. Why is this? This is because we often fail to understand the comprehensive structure of bone. In this session, let's try to learn the comprehensive structure of bone tissue, and we will discuss the bone tissue under these following headings. First, we'll try to differentiate how bone tissue is different from bone. What are the different types of bone tissues that we have? What is the structure of compact bone? How the bone is made up of? Then what are the cells of the bone tissue, and what about the composition of the bone matrix? Let's try to focus on identifying the different types of bones. Bones can be classified in number of ways. Bones are classified based on ossification, the type of ossification. Bones are classified based on their shape. And we will learn about the details of classification based on the shape and ossification in our general anatomy modules, right? What we will focus here is, we'll try to learn little bit about what are the two common types of bone tissue. The two common type of bone tissues are, one is referred to as the compact bone and the other one is referred to as the spongy bone. Right? So we have compact bone and spongy bone. Now here we have the diagram of a section of femur where we can see these two types of bone tissues. The bone that forms the outermost part of the shafts of the long bones. These are typical examples for compact bone. So these are typical examples for compact bones. Then when we take the epiphysis contains spongy type of tissue, and this is what we refer to as the spongy bone. Our discussion will be focused on the structure of compact bone, which is also referred to as the lamellar bone. Right? So remember, bones can be classified in multiple ways, and we will be discussing that separately in general anatomy modules, whereas bone tissue has two important components. One is the compact bone and the other one is the spongy bone. Let's try to understand the structure of compact bone. What we will do for this is, we will actually see the slide image taken from the bone tissue, and remember, this is a ground section, right? What is a ground section? We will learn little bit later. So this is a slide image and this is the pictorial representation of the structure. Let's try to see a magnified image and let's try to understand how exactly these canaliculi look. Let's enlarge this further again. I want you to focus on a single Haversian system. Let's say this is a single Haversian system. And this is the Haversian canal, which will lodge blood vessels, lymphatics, nerves, all these tissues. Then this is the lamellae that we spoke about, the bony matrix, which is arranged in the form of layers. Then here is an osteocyte. This is an osteocyte, right? If we progress further, we can see these minute extensions extending from different lamellae, right? All these minute extensions, these are what we refer to as canaliculi. And these canaliculi, what do? They connect osteocytes. They connect osteocytes, right? So this is how the bone tissue looks if you enlarge it further. Remember, this is a 80x magnification of the same ground section that we saw in the previous slide, right? So this is the structure of the compact bone when we enlarge it and when we want to appreciate the canaliculi and the detailed structure, right? Once we have learned the detailed structure of bone, let's try to quickly summarize now, right? We learned that bone tissue is different from bone. Bone tissue is a specialized form of connective tissue, whereas bone is a mixture of bone tissue, hematopoietic tissue, nerve, blood vessels, everything. Right? Then we talked about the two different types of bones, where we said bones can be classified into, or bone tissue can be classified into, the compact bone and spongy bone. The structure of compact bone begins with the periosteum, which has two layers, outer fibrous and inner osteogenic layer, and then it has an inner circumferential lamella where bony matrix is laid down. Inside the outer circumferential lamella, what we have is the Haversian system or concentric lamella, which has Haversian canal filled with blood vessels, nerves and lymphatics. Right? The Haversian systems are separated by interstitial lamella, and towards the inner aspect we have the inner circumferential lamella towards the endosteum. The two Haversian systems are connected by Volkmann canals. Right? This is regarding the structure. Then we talked about composition of the bone, where we said bone is made up of bone cells and bone matrix, and bone cells include osteoblast, osteocyte, osteogenic cell or osteoprogenitor cell, and osteoclast, including periosteal cells. 5 different types of cell I want you to remember. Osteoblast form the bone matrix, osteocytes help in maintaining it, osteoprogenitor cell gives rise to osteoblast, osteoclast cells resorb or absorb the bone, periosteal cells give rise to osteoblast or osteoprogenitor cells. Right? Bone matrix is divided into organic and inorganic. Organic bone matrix predominantly contains type 1 collagen. Inorganic bone matrix predominantly contains the hydroxyapatite crystals of calcium and phosphorus. Right? This is regarding the detailed structure of the bone tissue. That's it for this session.